In today's news, Minister Kai Reimer meets with the Craft Alive vendors.
Dr. O'Neill Morton appointed as PS in the Premier's office.
New updates on the coronavirus that has the world in a frenzy. We have all those details for you right here.
U.S. Embassy trains local officers.
Premier's calls on Guyana to unite, as well as a lot more. These and more stories when 284 News returns.
What are you really running for, boss? You could have bust a hole in your head. But see, with the competition, it means about to bust a hole in your pocket.
I could get my modem, please.
Anyhow, I got something huge to show you.
I gotta be sick in your head.
The whole on string bean, Tina kind of party. Check this. That's LTE1 for just about everyone. LTE2 for you and your boo. And hold on. Bam! Rate so low, you feel like you're free. That's LTE3 for you and the whole family.
Save even more on your internet with new pricing from CCT. Get LTE 2 now for only $149. Get LTE 3 for the new low price of $189. All packages are unlimited, so there's no overage charge. You don't have to run into Chaz for savings. Just stop by our store and sign up today. Come on over to CCT. Life Unlimited.
Welcome, viewers. It is Thursday, March 12th, 2020. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I'm Kyla Kenesha Forbes.
Now, Kyla, it is quite a time to be in media.
It is.
When you think about all that is going on around the world, I mean, ever since 2020 started,
It's been a lot.
Yes.
And I think just the developments over the last day or so, it's been so much to digest.
Definitely.
But we definitely have all the details for our viewers here today, so we'll jump right into it.
Yes, we'll get into it. Viewers, we can all recall the Craft Alive debacle that saw vendors racking up quite a bill in outstanding rent. Well, just last year, we heard that the minister resorted to the possibility of eviction for those who refused to comply with payments. And today, we have a good update for you. We were able to sit down with the Honorable Kai Reimer himself in his office. Let's watch. Viewers, we are joined live with the Minister of Transportation, Works and Utilities, Honorable Kai Reimer, to discuss the ongoing issue at the Craft Alive Village. Now, most recently, he was able to meet with the vendors. Minister, can you just tell us what came out of that meeting?
Good morning. First of all, it's a pleasure to have you here at our new office. And public, we are now moved to Manuel Reef, where we have relocated from the Ralph T. O'Neill Administration Complex. You mentioned ongoing issues. I'm not sure that we had issues. We just had some discussions where certain vendors were not satisfied with certain things that were happening, and from the government standpoint, we were not satisfied with some of the issues within their leases. So, we met, we addressed some of the concerns. We actually had the ability to give them a whole year free from their rent. And we move forward in terms of letting them to know that we'll give them an additional grace period so that they can bring their rent up to good standing. What we did as a government is we noted that the fact that this discussion happened in July of 2019, and we asked them to have their rent paid up before October actually. But at that time we know that the cruise ship season was about to begin, so we allowed them to continue to sell use the inventory that they had on stock. And we thought it was necessary for us to now meet with them, understand what took place during the season, where the challenges were, and how we can help, to assist them so that they can continue to make, a profit at the Craft Alive.
All right, so you mentioned that last year, similarly, the issues were that they were not satisfied with the way things were, moving forward at the village, and on your end there was some monies owed. Now, from that meeting to this point in time, has those issues been resolved?
Some of the vendors, they have paid up. I wouldn't put a number to it, but there's still a lot of.
A high percentage or a low?
The percentage is small as to who have a zero balance. We have 60 vendors at Craft Alive. We have quite a few that still owe substantial amount, and we are working to rectify that issue. We are speaking with those persons, and we are hoping and working to have it rectified. I know the worst case scenario is to have them evicted, but like I said, we allow them to go through the season, because if we are aware, and in all fairness to them, after the 2017 the trilogy of storms that we went through, we know that the years thereafter, there was hardly any cruise ship persons coming through the territory, and we thought this year 2019 2020 would be a good year for them. So we are monitoring that, and to see how much money they've made, and how they can meet their to pay their rent.
All right, so you mentioned the grace period, a new grace period. Can you say when that ends?
Well, we had given them a grace period from July when we met with them, for them to pay up within 3 months. Those persons that were under $9,000, we allowed them to get a payment plan so that they can, eventually have a zero balance. We know that there were a couple persons that opted to move out. I can't confirm if they did, but I can get that information for you.
And aesthetically, I know persons at the village, some of the vendors are concerned about the way it looks, as well as other officials. Are you satisfied with the overall look, and is there any intention to reform the look of Craft Alive Village?
Well, the look of Craft Alive was never an issue that came to me. I think it is still in good condition. We have expended some money in terms of getting it back to what it was after the hurricanes. I think that the look is what we discussed at the last meeting, is the fact that we were discouraging the vendors from having their items outside of their spaces, and just to have them displayed, say, on the doors and the windows. So, we discourage them from having additional, like a tent and, the whole store on the outside that made it seem cumbersome. So that is something that we address. And for the violators, there will be a fine. We'll have the city management team go out and monitor that to make sure that they're working in confinement.
So that's effective immediately?
Yes, it is.
All right, in closing, I know that one of the concerns we had was, or the vendors have, is the lack of traffic in the area. Some have suggested a boardwalk from the Tortola Pier Park and other main ports, but specifically from the Pier Park to Craft Alive, to encourage tourists, to venture directly over to Craft Alive. Is that something being considered by the government at this time?
Yes, that was a concern, and at the initial meeting in July, we spoke about that, and they asked us to add additional signage so that persons will know that the Craft Alive Village existed. And the government, we did our part. We erected a couple of signage. You would see behind by the Ralph T. O'Neill complex, we have directional arrows that say that Craft Alive goes in this direction. So we have been trying to assist them in terms of getting the traffic there. And in the last meeting, they spoke about access to the tour operators and making sure that those tour operators would, assist them in bringing persons there. So what we will do as a government is have further dialogue with the tour operators and see how best, or what their issues are in terms of dropping persons there. So we are trying to address the fact that, yes, we know that they require more traffic to Craft Alive, but we're also encouraging the vendors to have something unique. Seems like many of them, they sell the same thing, they shop at the same places, and it makes it hard for the tourists to come in and actually choose some that is unique and unique to the territory. So those are things that we are encouraging, because if you go there, you'd see that maybe all of them sell the same T-shirts and the same stuff. Right. So they have their part, we will do our part as well.
All right, so finally, no eviction on the table for now.
And it was a pleasure speaking with you. And we if the vendors are not paying, we'll have to revert to evicting them. Yes.
All right. Well, Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. I'm Javon Wilson, and this has been a 284 News exclusive. Quite a bit of information there to digest from Honorable Kai Raima, of course, the overseeing minister. Now, in speaking with the city manager today, we also learned that, viewers, the initial amount we thought was owed, which was $500,000, well, it happens that that was incorrect. Mrs. Brathwaite Edwards, the city manager of the city manager's office, of course, she said that the amount owed is actually $1.2 million, and up to press time, just about $400,000 remains outstanding. So a lot of information to digest there and to go over as we think about the ongoing issue at the Craft Alive Village. Now, Kyla, based on the meeting last year in comparison to the one that was recently had, and this was done on March 6th, we're seeing that not a lot has improved. Last year, we heard the amount was $500,000. That was clarified today to be $1.2 million. But despite that, we're seeing that a lot of monies are still being owed by the vendors. They're calling for a lot. They want the Craft Alive Village to be reformed somewhat. They want aesthetically to look to change. They're also complaining about the lack of traffic in the area, which is probably the most significant issue we see. Not a lot of our tourists, if we are to be honest, venture over to the Craft Alive Village, and it is having an impact on the revenue coming in.
So the question would be, yes, at the end of the day, it is somewhat the government's responsibility in some spaces, but what responsibility does the store owners hold to drive traffic to that area?
Well, that is an ongoing battle. The vendors believe somewhat that the city manager should have that responsibility to basically advertise what's going on there. But equally, I think as business owners, we have to ensure that we're advertising well, that persons know what we're selling. And
Agreed.
Essentially, I think it works both ways.
And giving a product that is worth buying as well. So I think it goes hand in hand.
One of the concerns the minister had, and I think this is one of the reasons why he's opting to have them put the products on the inside, is the fact that all the stores, they look uniformed, as if they're selling the exact same thing. A lot of persons in the BVI have asked for vendors to diversify a bit, sell different products, and even with signing up for these spots, I think we have about 50 vendors, if I'm correct.
Not sure.
Yes. If I'm not correct. But maybe if we have 5 food and drinks vendors, then maybe we need just a few, just make sure
to diversify.
Yes,
not
just
everyone
ensure that not everyone is doing the same thing.
Agreed.
All right, viewers, we're going to move on to our next story.
Basically, our next story, public officers of the territory are participating in a series of training initiatives this week organized by the United States Embassy. Now, public officers from various agencies, including the Civil Registry and Passport Office, Immigration Department, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, and Her Majesty's Prison, will learn to identify, investigate, and further report credit card fraud cases, inspect travel documents for security features, and distinguish between genuine and altered or counterfeit documents. If we could just stop there just a little while, Javon, and speak about how important this sort of training is. We see being able to identify false travel documents. I think that's a great deal.
Definitely. When we think about protecting our borders, especially from persons who are not here illegally, a lot of persons overstay their time not only in U.S. jurisdictions but here in the BVI as well, and that's definitely one of the issues we've been trying to crack down on. As we see our Honorable Minister Whitley is I guess working on the reform in that department.
Definitely. But also in these workshops, officers will be practicing various techniques for conducting interviews with victims of sex crimes, children, and human trafficking. And also that, Javon, I think sometimes we overlook and we think that these specific situations cannot happen in our shores, but it's better to do the training and we know how, just in case these situations arise. But also training in identifying and investigating counterfeit currency cases with a focus on U.S. currency. Now, the staff of the Civil Registry and Passport Office also received training in customer service and effective business communication as a way to enhance their service provided to the public. Just a great initiative we see here, Javon, and definitely a round of applause.
Yes, definitely. And when we think about, what we need to do to strengthen our relationship, I know we're closely affiliated with the U.S. Virgin Islands, but the motherland, the United States, we have to ensure that we're all in alignment with
I do agree.
definitely the rules and the restrictions.
I agree. So viewers, still ahead, so much news on the global pandemic, the coronavirus. All this after a word from our sponsors.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media at cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
When you need to stay connected with friends and families at home or abroad, the best choice for you is Freedom. CCT Freedom. With the lowest rates in the market, our Freedom plan gives you unlimited calls and texting. Plus, our Freedom One package includes 10 gigabits of super fast, unlimited LTE data and unlimited calls to the BVI, USA, USVI, Canada, Puerto Rico, and UK lines. Why pay for overages when you can enjoy CCT Freedom? Stop by at one of our stores today and speak with one of our representatives to find out more about our CCT Freedom packages. Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, like many of you, we are following the troubling updates on the local, regional, and international scene concerning the coronavirus, the novel coronavirus. Now, locally, a lot has been happening, but before we get into that, we want to report that the World Health Organization yesterday declared the novel coronavirus a world pandemic following the staggering numbers of infections and deaths across the globe. This has sent the world into a frenzy, as you can imagine, with millions of persons panicking. And as you can imagine, Kyla, panic shopping as well.
Yeah.
So on the local scene, we see travel has been restricted for public officials and visa-free travel for Chinese nationals, which is in place as we speak, that was suspended as well. We also see the government implementing increased border control and quarantine measures for travelers entering the territory based on assessment of risks, vulnerabilities, and capabilities in response to the coronavirus COVID-19. Now, the Ministry of Health and Social Development is hereby advising the public that any national or non-national with a travel history within the last 14 days from an affected area where in transit or originating or has been in close contact with a suspected or confirmed case of COVID-19 within the last 14 days may be subjected to quarantine on arrival in the British Virgin Islands for up to 14 days, even if they do not exhibit symptoms of COVID-19. All travelers entering the BVI, including BVI citizens, permanent residents, and their immediate family, will be subjected to screening and passenger tracing at ports of entry, and again may be subjected to clinical examination and quarantine for up to 14 days as deemed necessary in accordance to the Quarantine Act 2014. Now, during the quarantine, persons will be monitored for the development of signs and symptoms consistent with COVID-19 by a designated health officer. Also note that travel outside of quarantine premises and direct contact with anyone other than medical personnel will be prohibited or restricted. Now, a lot of persons probably would have seen by now, especially if you came into the BVI today, there are some new public health declaration forms that will be on the screen shortly. Persons are now mandated to fill these forms. Of course, it tracks the illnesses, I should say the symptoms, and also where you're coming from, especially if you're coming from a virus prone region. If we could look across the region as well, we see a lot of cases. Kyla, just yesterday, Guyana was able to confirm its first case. A woman, I think, traveling from New York came back to Guyana just 4 days ago. And this yesterday morning, she checked into the hospital and died with pneumonia. That person was tested for the coronavirus after she died, and it just happens that it was positive.
Yeah.
We also see cases in Jamaica, and there is quite a number of cases being looked at
even in
across
St.
the
Vincent
region.
and the Grenadines. We're seeing it very close to home. So.
Definitely. In the United States, just yesterday, Trump suspended all travel between Europe and the United States for 30 days. We look across the world. Italy is on full lockdown, about 60 million people in that area. And this is a country that's considered to be, considered to have the 8th largest economy. So we see this really crippling the economies of some of the larger nations across the world. Kyla, if you are into celebrities and all of that, we have Mr. Tom Hanks and his wife. He came forward on social media saying that he was infected with the virus and they are quarantined and being treated. We can see quite a number of basketball players coming forward to testing positive.
Just yesterday, the NBA actually suspended the season. I don't think fans even seen this coming, but we're here now.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is a lot. But, this was after the Utah Jazz player tested positive for the coronavirus. So we're seeing where basketball players, as you say, celebrities are also testing positive for the virus.
And it goes to show, this virus is not a respecter of persons.
Nope.
Once you're exposed to the virus and your immune system has been compromised in some way or the other, you are prone to catch the virus,
Most definitely. But also, too, you spoke a little bit about Trump and canceling, restricting travel, that European travel. And the stock market in the U.S. have plummeted. I think this have failed to calm investors, and the stock market definitely took a hit this morning. And
then and all of that is as a result of the economies. We look at China, we look at large nations like Europe and the United States, and right now the government in the United States is about to invest about $500 billion into the market simply because they are trying to buy out their own debt and essentially hoping that it prevents the market from sinking further. So viewers, it's a lot to digest. Again, we just want to remind you, while yes, this is a dangerous issue, and the world is in a, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That was almost a sneeze. The world is in a frenzy and panicking. We also want to remind you that, the epicenter where this virus erupted, which is in Wuhan, China, about 80,000 persons were infected with the virus. But we want to also report to you that about 60,000 of those persons have
recovered.
Yes, they have recovered. And it's a matter of being quarantined. Of course, as soon as you recognize that you're sick, heading to the health officials, being diagnosed, receiving the necessary treatment, and most importantly, staying away from people to prevent the spread of this virus. Again, simple things that you can do: wash your hands, cough into your elbows,
the touching of the eyes.
Yes, utilize Lysol and other disinfectants. Of course, that can disinfect surfaces, and just practice safe sanitation measures. If you recognize that you have a cough, a fever, or any of the other symptoms associated with the virus, head to a health official.
Definitely.
Of course, to be checked. All right, viewers, we have a lot more coming your way. Stick with us. This is 284 News.
May I assist you? Yes. You want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top up or?
Viewers, as you all know, there is an ongoing crisis in Guyana as well relating to the election, what we're calling the fraudulent election process. It was in the courts yesterday. A ruling is to be made today. But our Honorable Premier, in speaking with our team at 284 Media, is now urging persons in Guyana, especially the persons charged to lead, to unite Guyana in this time of crisis. We caught up with the Premier at the Holi celebrations a few days ago. Let's watch. In closing, Premier, I know in Guyana right now, of course, due to political tensions, the election results, all of that would have inspired a lot of hate and divide in the country. As the leader of the BVI, what do you want to say in light of unity to the people of Guyana, especially the ones who are charged to lead us?
Find how to unite the people. It's not an easy time because when people have their strong political beliefs and affiliations, sometimes some of them go overboard and do not leave room to listen to other views or even leave room to be able to negotiate with others across the aisle so that they can bring peace. Because at the end of the day, we only have each other in the Caribbean. It's not just for Guyana. Once Guyana becomes unstable politically, then the whole of CARICOM becomes concerned. Because when one Caribbean brother sneezes, the rest of us catch a cold. So it's very concerning for me, the political unrest in Guyana, and hopefully we can find a solution that will unite the people despite the differences, find a way to unite. It's very important because the people of Guyana want unity, they want proper representation, and I'm sure that the leaders want it also, but it must be done in a transparent and fair manner. I'm not saying that it isn't, but once everyone can agree on the methodology and agree in terms of all the processes, then most of them can agree. Then I know that they're going to be able to find common ground. One thing I always say is once people are seeking peace, they'll find it. So if they're seeking the solution and peace in Guyana, they'll find it. As associate member of CARICOM, we're willing to join with the president of CARICOM, the chairperson, Honorable Mia Motley, and all of them as they come together. Whatever needs to be done for us to help Guyana this time as a Caribbean brother to insist to get it stabilized, then we must do it, because Guyana is going to become a very crucial sector for the Caribbean in terms of trade. So it is crucial that they get their political structure fully stabilized, because all of us will benefit from it, because the diaspora of how things used to be in terms of trade in the world is shifting. And I've been saying for a long time, especially since becoming premier, that the Caribbean is going to become one of the next greatest economic powers. And I see it from a mile off, and it's right around the corner. And we have to don't let the devil creep in the places like Guyana and other areas to put us against the mission of finally liberalizing and freeing the people of the Caribbean. Most Caribbean states are independent, and they got their independence in terms of status from their mother country. But one of the things that we never got in the Caribbean to a large extent is economic independence. And now that we are so close to it, we cannot allow Guyana to be destabilized. It has to stabilize, and we all have to do what we have to do. So I wish them the best. I wish Godspeed to the people of Guyana, and hopefully I pray and whatever else we can do to bring stability to the political structure of Guyana right now, we're willing to do as a Caribbean nation, as CARICOM.
All right, on behalf of the Guyanese viewers, thank you so much for joining us once again. That is it for today's News Roundup. Be sure to follow us for daily news updates at 284media.com and like us on Facebook at 284media, as well as 284BVI on Instagram, as well as Twitter. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. We'll see you again tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and international content. 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news, right here on 284 Media. Have a happy Thursday, everybody.
So you're saying I can ask this cat any question?
The cat is connected to the computer. You just type in the question, it will read his mind. There's the answer code.
You're the man! I've been looking for this for weeks.
Brilliant Hands and Minds tutoring services, one-on-one tutorials in math and English, intense homework assistance, academic enrichment, school projects, effective communication and public speaking development, sign language for adults and children on Saturdays only. Registered with the Virgin Islands High School Certificate Program, Brilliant Hands and Minds can help you too. Offering intense curriculum-based training to help you or your loved ones get their high school diploma. It's time to make your family's education a #1 priority. Hurry, space is limited. Brilliant Hands and Minds Learning Center. We are the trained education professionals.